I was doing some work on this massive white oak planter base that still needs a top, and I was putting the walnut plugs in the screw holes, and it got me thinking about screws. I used all stainless steel screws for this, and I've been switching to stainless steel a little bit over the last several years, and part of the reason why is here's a screw from a project I did about 6 or 7 years ago, and I used the premium exterior wood screws with the limited lifetime warranty. And as I was taking these screws out, a lot of them were snapping off at the shank down inside the pressure treated wood. Weren't even in cedar. I think these are supposed to be okay in cedar even, but this was in just regular pressure treated wood, and they were snapping off. These things were supposed to be an upgrade from the much older, like this screw is about 20 years old, much older galvanized deck screws. These things are terrible. They would bend and snap off all the time and just rust before long. So these were supposed to be, this was going to be an upgrade to the old deck screws. Now come to think of it, part of the reason these things would snap off and bend was probably because back then we actually didn't have variable speed. So when you pulled the trigger on an electric drill, plugged that thing in and pulled the trigger, it was going from 0 to 4,000 RPMs and immediately. So that was probably part of the reason that these things were so easy to break. And that was also probably the reason why a lot of people have punched through their thumbs trying to start a 4,000 RPM drill and hold on to a 3-inch deck screw at the same time. So that was kind of a tangent. What I wanted to talk about was stainless steel screws. So I got these ones from Marsh Fasteners. I'm mentioning the company not because I'm being sponsored by them, just because I've had pretty good results from them so far. Customer service has been great. I put about 4 orders over the last 2 months just to boost up my inventory. I got some 3.5-inch screws here. These are a little bit different from the ones that I was getting from Lowe's before, at Lowe's or Home Depot, I can't remember which. But these were really expensive compared. I mean, the Marsh ones are still expensive. It's stainless steel, but the main difference between these two is that the ones from a lot of the screws now have this little grind in the tip that helps cut the wood fibers so it doesn't split as easily when it's going into the wood. So instead of acting like a wedge, it cuts the wood, sort of pre-drills it in a way. And the Marsh ones have like a wire on there. It was kind of weird, but it seems to work pretty well. I haven't had any splitting problems yet, but I always pre-drill anyway. But look pretty much like the same thing, except these are probably 305 stainless steel. Normally you're going to see 304, 305. In this case, I decided to order 316, which is not readable on there. 316 stainless steel, which is the marine grade. I got that just because it was a little bit more expensive. Not a lot. It really made a difference. Marine grade screws are going to hold up better in like salt and chemical environments, like ocean or whatever, which is not going to apply to me. Just using it around the yard. But the point is that when I build something like this is built out of white oak, and granted, it's from a tree that came down in the yard because bugs were eating it, ants, and I think it was mostly ants. But white oak is going to last for a very long time, and I have it sealed with epoxy right now. I put on a thin coat of epoxy, and walnut holds up really great outdoors too. So walnut and white oak, I mean, I'm really planning on this thing lasting for a very long time. Even some of the softer areas, like, let's see. You see some of these little spots like that where there was a boring larva in there, and that's a nice epoxy bubble. Boring larvae that leave these little channels in here. If you're not familiar with a boring larva, it's any kind of larva that incessantly posts political opinions on Facebook. That's about as boring as it gets right there. Also, they eat wood. A lot of times they get under the bark, but anyway, I think this is probably going to last 20 or 30 years with the white oak and the epoxy, and I didn't want to have any concerns about the screw breaking off or just corroding over time. That would be ridiculous. So I went with the 316 stainless steel in this, and some of the other stuff that I've been replacing in the shop over the years too. Got my old hardware store bins here from Home Mart Building Center in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. One of my first jobs as a teenager. I've been switching out my zinc wood supplies over the years and going with stainless steel. And I got a bunch of these from Marsh, and then I got a whole bunch here from Lowe's. These are probably 304, 305. I mean, either way, they're not going to rust unless these ones might get a little corrosion in salt water, but I'm not going to have any problems with that. It's really expensive to buy the stainless steel stuff in the small packs like this. Like you'll pay $1 or $2 for just a small pack with a couple screws. But if you get the big boxes, and I mean, these big boxes are going to be very economical in the long run. Still costs a lot more than the zinc ones, obviously, but you don't have to worry about your stuff rusting, and I think that's pretty important. For these nails for a nail gun, like for a finish nailer, these are pretty old. I don't remember where I got these even, but these are 304 stainless steel, and I got these because I was doing a project with some cedar, and cedar will eat through galvanized just because of the acid content. But these stainless steel ones hold up great. When you think about using these ones outside, even if they are galvanized, they're that's just a thin wire, and you know that's going to corrode through very quickly. Some other stainless steel stuff that I got: stainless steel wire for just like outdoor gardening and stuff. Washers are an important thing, I think, to replace. Let me see if I can. There we go. Usually doesn't take long to poke around the washer bin to find a galvanized washer that's starting to get rust spots on it. Washers are the worst for this. I had a whole 5-pound box that rusted out on me one time just from being in the humid workshop. You know, it's not climate controlled in here. So these rust spots will show up in a box of washers, especially if it's in like a cardboard box, as that absorbs moisture from the air. And you know, when you put a bolt in this or something, there's going to be some friction as the bolt rubs on it, and then it's going to rust over a lot sooner. So I've started to replace my washer supplies also with stainless steel, and I bought a whole bunch of these boxes. I got these ones from Marsh again. For a box of 100 washers, compared to those little $2 packs you get in Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever, these were like somewhere between $5 and $10, I think, if I remember right, for a box of 100. And I bought all these boxes because these are sizes that I use once in a while. Not even frequently, I would say, but these are just common sizes that I use. And I'm not going to run out of washers for probably the next 5 or 10 years. I don't use that many washers, but I figured I may as well be a little more economical and get the big packs. And I also got a few other odds and ends, like that. The drawer's not going to open, but eye screws for, you know, hanging stuff outside, gardening or whatever. So that is my recommendation, that if you're going to build something outside and you really want it to last, forget about the galvanized, forget about the coated, and just get yourself some good stainless steel screws, because while this might be probably about twice the cost of this one of these is not twice the cost of 2 of these. So I had to replace this screw, so that means I paid for it twice, and also there was some extra work involved, and then I still had that broken off piece down inside the wood. So I see the stainless steel as a more economical option, and you're not going to have to worry about your box rusting out over time just sitting in the shop. Because when you make something, you really put some time into it, you want it to last forever.